always been… people have been taught that they must work hard. Nobody told them they must work joyfully. There is no best thing to do in life. Anything that you take up and if you put your heart and soul into it, it becomes a great thing. It's time that human potential is unleashed because we are the first generation on the planet for whom our survival is organized better than ever before.
Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
He's Sadhguru, and here's my take on his top 50 rules for success. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Enhance your perception and intelligence.
Effort has to be incisive in the sense, it should be focused, calibrated. Simply if you make effort, it's foolish effort, isn't it? Just labor is not going to get you somewhere. Right kind of action, the right timing, right place, all this is important, isn't it? So, for all these things to happen, you need perception and intelligence. So that's all you must do in your life. Constantly looking for ways to enhance your perception and your intelligence. Rest will anyway happen. This is one thing that unfortunately humanity is not doing. They're trying to become capable of something. Do not try to become capable of something. Just enhance your perception and intelligence.
Rule number 2, take charge of your life.
Can you see me right now, all of you? Can you see me? Just point out where I am. Use your hands and point out. Can you see me? Oh, you got it wrong. You know I'm a mystic. You're getting it completely wrong. Now, this light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in your retina, you know the whole story, right? Where do you see me right now? Within yourself. Where do you hear me right now? Within yourself. Where have you seen the whole world? Within yourself. Have you ever experienced anything outside of yourself? Everything that ever happened to you, darkness and light happened within you, pain and pleasure happened within you, joy and misery happened within you. Have you ever experienced anything outside of yourself? No. So what I am asking you is, what happens within you? Who should determine how it should happen? What happens within you? Who should determine how this should happen? Somebody else? Definitely you should determine what should happen within this, isn't it? So if you determine what's happening within this, your whole experience of life will be determined by you, nobody else but you, isn't it? The events around you may not be determined by you, but how your experience of life is on this planet is 100% determined by you if you take charge of this. If you leave it loose, just about anybody will determine it. They will, not consciously, they also like you by accident.
Rule number 3, be conscious of your mortality.
If you just observe, if everybody makes a little effort, everybody take a little time for this piece of life, okay? Not for your family, not for your career, not for something else, just for this piece of life. Give it little time because this is the most important piece of life in your life, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Even if you're in love with somebody, still this is the most important piece of life, isn't it? So pay some attention to this. How does it happen? Why have you taken it for granted? Believe me, you're not going to be here forever. I'll bless you with a long life, but you're going to fall dead one day. Yes or no?
Yes.
So, do not take this for granted. If you wake up in the morning, tomorrow if you wake up in the morning, no, this is not my wish, but I want you to know, of all the people who go to bed tonight, over 1 million people will not wake up tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, if you and me wake up tomorrow morning, is it not a fantastic thing? 1 million people did not wake up. You woke up. Is it not a great thing? Just look at the ceiling and smile. You are still awake, you're still there. And for many, many millions of people, somebody who's dear to them did not wake up. So just check those 5, 6 people around you. They all woke up. Wow, it's a fantastic day. You woke up and everybody who matters to you around you woke up. Is it not fantastic day?
Yes.
You don't think so?
Yes. Yes.
You don't seem to think so.
Yes.
Because the problem is just this, you are living with an idea that you're immortal. When I say you're immortal, you're not actually thinking you're immortal, but you're not conscious of your mortality. If you're not conscious of your mortality, somewhere you think you're immortal, isn't it? How many moments in a day are you conscious that you're mortal? If you were conscious, would you have time to crib? Would you have time to fight with somebody? Would you have time to do some rubbish with your life? If you knew, if you are conscious that you're mortal, you would do nothing other than what is absolutely needed for you and everybody around you. This one thing if you do, if you just remind yourself, you don't think this is a negative thing. Death is not a negative thing, it's the only thing which has added value to your life. If you're here forever, you would be unbearable.
Yes, yes.
Isn't it? Aren't we glad everybody dies one day? If you just become conscious of this one thing, that always you're conscious that I'm mortal. You don't have to think, I will die today, we don't intend, we want to live as far as possible. Just you know, one day I will die. If you're just conscious of this one thing, you will naturally become spiritual. Every day, every moment if you remind yourself, this is a brief life, I'm mortal, one day I will end. Just do this for 2 days and see, you will become something truly fantastic within yourself, just this is all.
That is simply beautiful.
That's all that's needed. If you want to know the value of life, just know that it's a brief happening.
Rule number 4, take a holiday from seriousness.
Just loosen up your life a little bit, laugh a little more, involve yourself with people around you, do things that you think is not so important. Don't do things which are very important. Do simple things. It's very important you do simple things. Very important things you're doing in your life, you will become dead serious. You know, Bertrand Russell, an Englishman, Bertrand Russell said, if you're beginning to think that what you're doing is very important, you need to take a holiday. So holiday does not mean coming to India. Holiday is every day, in those 24 hours, you must take a holiday from your seriousness. From your seriousness has come essentially because of your self-importance. You hold yourself as an important person. I want you to see you are like a speck of dust in this existence. Tomorrow morning if you disappear, for sure in India nobody will miss you. Even down under, they won't bother much, you know. A handful of people, they will also forget soon enough. Isn't it so? Oof! Nature does oof, you're gone. And nothing will happen in this world, everything will happen wonderfully well even if you're not there. Every human being should be aware of this every moment of his life. It does not matter what the whole world says about you. It does not matter how significant a work you're doing. You must understand that tomorrow morning the world will go on fine without you, whoever you may be. Isn't it so? If you constantly remind yourself of this, you'll have no reason to be serious. Definitely not dead. And don't be dead now, a time will come. It's time to be alive.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series. It's free. The link to join is in the description below.
It's easy to make a buck, very hard to make a difference.
You have to work with people where you feel a bit insecure, right? That's essential because that means you're working with people who are better than you.
Rule number 5, produce nice movies.
To create fear, you have to use excessive imagination. To not be in fear, you don't have to do anything. Fear is happening because of excessive imagination, things that have not happened, you're creating. What may happen in your mind happens in 1,000 different formats, and most probably it never happens. The things that you feared, take 100 things that you have feared, probably 99 of them never happened, isn't it? Yes. So your fear is always about that which does not exist. You cannot fight or you cannot overcome that which does not exist. We can overcome something that exists. You cannot overcome that which does not exist. You just have to give up that effort. Enjoy the fear. After all, it's your making. You like horror movies. Yes, you're saying no, but you're producing them. It's just they're not making money, that's all. Fear means you're producing horror movies in your mind. Nobody else is willing to watch. That's bad for the producer. But you're producing them. So, you produce something else. Produce a comedy, a love story, suspense, thriller. Try and see today. Just sit down, produce a love story, a suspense thriller, a comedy. 5 minutes movies you make in your mind. Really. Start using your mind differently. It's just gotten into your pattern. Just gotten into your pattern of just creating horror movies all the time. You have watched enough horror movies, they're boring. Create something else. Even it's not that if you produce these movies, those things will happen in your life. Still they may not happen, at least you enjoy the movie. In reality, it may not happen, so what? At least you enjoy what's happening in your mind, if you cannot enjoy what's happening in the world, isn't it? That much privilege every human being deserves, isn't it so? Even if the world is not kind to him, at least his own mind should be kind to him, should produce some nice movies.
Rule number 6, don't identify yourself with anything.
We are completely committed to one dimension of our intelligence which we call as the intellect, which is just the thought process. Thought can only happen with the data that you have gathered through 5 senses, which is very limited, one thing. Another thing is, the nature of data that the senses gather are only useful for survival process. The very nature of how you see things, how you hear, smell and taste and touch life is only relevant for survival process. If you wanting to know the life itself, then these instruments of perception are no good. Even what is light and darkness is a debate between you and another creature which sees darkness as light, isn't it? If you sit with an owl and start an argument as to which is light and which is darkness, it's an endless argument, but who do you think is right? Hello? If you're saying both, you're either in the diplomatic corps or you have a successful marriage.
Some have both.
You have learned to say both, but which is the truth? What I see is the truth or what the owl sees is the truth? That's not the point, it is just that nature has opened up our sense perception as it is necessary for our survival. Accordingly, it has opened up sense perceptions for different creatures as it is necessary for their survival. But if survival is all you're seeking, this is good enough, the five senses. But once you have come as a human being, somehow survival is not good enough. If your stomach is empty, there's only one issue about food. But once the stomach becomes full, you have 100 issues going on. So the nature of the human being is such, no matter what you do, you want to be something more than what you are right now. And if that something more happens, something more, it's an endless pursuit. So somewhere, a human being is seeking a limitless expansion, but trying to do it with physical means. The very nature of physicality is a defined boundary. If there is no defined boundary, there is no possibility of physical happening in the universe. But now, a human being is longing for the boundless, that too in installments and through physical means. Through the boundary, you're trying to become boundless. The desire is fantastic, the method is hopeless. Because the moment you identify yourself with something, your intellect's work is just to protect that identity. If you… whatever the identities of nation or family or gender or race, religion, whatever, the moment you identify yourself with something, your intellect will only function around that to protect that. So, it is a certain type of prejudice the moment you're identified. So, the only thing I did with my life is, I never identified myself with anything, and life just exploded within me in ways that thought seems so puny that I do not indulge in thought most of the time.
Rule number 7, fix yourself.
Pleasantness is the choice, isn't it? So why is it so much unpleasantness is happening in human experience? Because we never took charge of the inner dimension. We believe by fixing the outside, everything is going to be okay. In the last 150 years, with the advent of science and modern technology, we have fixed too many things on the outside. If you fix any more, there won't be a planet left. Yes? Definitely this has brought much convenience and comfort to our lives. In every way, we are the most comfortable generation ever. You agree with me? I know you have series of complaints about how things are not okay, but we are the most comfortable generation ever before on this planet, isn't it so? But we cannot say we are the most joyful generation on the planet, we are the most loving generation on the planet, we are the most blissed out generation on the planet, definitely not. We are complaining like crazy about everything, like never before. This is because we fixed the outside. Comfort and convenience has happened, well-being has not happened. If your interiority was handled by you consciously, you would definitely keep this in a blissful state. So is bliss the goal of life? No. Bliss is a necessary condition for life to flower to its full potential, otherwise it will remain constrained.
Rule number 8, pay attention to yourself.
You're paying too much attention to everything around you, not enough attention to this one. But the quality of your life is essentially determined by how you carry this one. Yes or no? This moment, what kind of clothes you're wearing, what kind of car you parked outside, what kind of home you live in does not determine the quality of your life. This moment, how joyful are you feeling within yourself determines the quality of your life, isn't it so? Nothing has been done about it. You think it'll happen in consequence, and you're setting impossible goals for your happiness. If I have to be happy, my wife should be like this, my husband should be like that, my children should be like this, the world should become some other way. Well, these are impossible conditions you're setting for your happiness and peacefulness. Now that you have compromised yourself to peace, why I'm saying compromise yourself to peace is because a lot of people have given up aspirations for being ecstatic or blissful. If I'm just peaceful, it's enough. Even the so-called spiritual leaders are going about and saying peace is the highest goal in your life. Peace is not the highest goal in your life. If you want to enjoy your lunch today, you must be peaceful. Yes or no? If you're not even peaceful, there is nothing in your life that you can do in a worthwhile way. To be peaceful essentially means this, that you're not messing your mind. To be peaceful means that your system is at ease. You know how to conduct your mind, you know how to conduct your emotions, your body and your energies. You are peaceful. It is not a rocket technology, it is the most basic thing. You have a dog at home, you give him his food, he sits peacefully. Maybe not ecstatic, but peacefully. Many times they're ecstatic also. Yes? If your dog is able to sit peacefully, oh, he doesn't have to run my industry. That's not the point, he's got his own stuff going. See, it has nothing to do with the external activity that you're doing. It's got something to do with the internal systems as to how they're functioning. Essentially, it means neither your body, nor your mind, nor your chemistry, nor your emotions, nor your energy are taking instructions from you. They're doing their own thing. Once your machine is not in your control, being peaceful is impossible. I'll tell you, you get into your car and now you go there and you want to turn this way, you do this to the steering, it goes this way. Can you peacefully drive this car? Can you? No. Anxiety is natural, isn't it? This is what has happened to your vehicle. It's out of control. You've never done anything to find out where the steering wheel is, first of all. This is not that simple as a car, this is a super computer. Now the problem is most people have not even bothered to find the keyboard. They think if they do this, somehow it'll work. When you're given such a highly sophisticated machine, if you do not conduct it properly, it will cause many problems to you. By accident it's working. I want you to know this is made this way. If you hold your hands like this, it'll breathe one way. If you just turn it around, the very way you breathe, the breathing pattern itself changes in your lungs. You can try it if you want when you have the time. This way, this way. I'm saying everything that you do, fundamental changes are happening in this machine because it's such a sophisticated machine. It's more than a touch screen, if you just wish it, it will happen. When you have such a sensitive and sophisticated machine and you are operating like a blacksmith, then being peaceful seems to be difficult. Peace is not the highest goal in your life, it is the most fundamental requirement. Don't ever set peace as the highest goal. If you do that, you will only rest in peace. You must see, to be peaceful is the first thing in your life, isn't it? If you want to do anything sensibly in your life, if you want to conduct any situation in your life sensibly, to be peaceful and happy is fundamental.
Rule number 9, do not set incentives for sickness.
Unfortunately, in many ways, not just in the way that I said now, in many different ways, I would say 70% of illnesses on the planet, all kinds, are self-created. Even if you get an infection, there is a way. If you keep yourself in a certain way, physically and mentally, the virus and the bacteria will not work the same way as it works upon somebody else. If you set yourself like this, no matter what's happening, anyway, I have to go and do this, this and this, there's no break from that. The last 29 years, I have not been able to cancel one program because I'm running temperature, I got a cold, I got this, I got that. It doesn't matter what's happening, what you have to do, you anyway have to do. You can't turn back on that. Either out of your commitment or you have a boss like that. One way or the other, if it happens, then you will see you will not at all fall sick so often. Because if you have temperature, you still have to go. If it's summer, you still go, right? Now, a lot of people don't go. It's a little hot outside, they don't go and work. Little cold outside, they don't go and work. A little raining, they won't go and work. A snowflake, they will not go and work. This is just weather. So for every change in weather, if you have the comfort of covering yourself in a blanket and lying down, once you create that, your body will learn to fall sick as often as possible. If you just keep it this way, it doesn't matter what it is, anyway I have to go and do what I have to do, you will see your body will just bounce back as quickly as possible, even if it gets the worst kind of infections. So you just have to set the necessary conditions for health, necessary incentives for health, both for yourself and your children if you have them. Do not set incentives for sickness.
Rule number 10, have a sense of humor.
I was speaking in Nashville a few years ago. I was just telling them a joke. In the joke, I referred to God as Him. Immediately a few ladies stood up, said, "Do you believe God is a man?" Whoa, whoa, whoa. I know where it's going. I was only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter, you said Him. Do you believe God is a man? I said, I was only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter. So now there is an argument going around in certain parts of America. Is God a man or a woman? In India, we have no such problems. We have a man god, we have a woman god, we have a cow god, we have an elephant god, we have a monkey, we have a snake, we have flying ones, crawling ones, creeping ones, every kind. Because it's a very wise culture, we foresaw all the future problems that may arise. Who knows?
Rule number 11, work joyfully.
You can live life with ease, not with struggle. One thing is, when we say work, it's many young people, wonderful people who are getting recognized for whatever wonderful things they have done, leaving them apart, but generally work means always been… people have been taught that they must work hard. Nobody told them they must work joyfully. Nobody told them their work should be an expression of their joy or their love. They have to work hard. If you work hard, life will be tedious. How else will it be? You will do something hard only because you don't know how to do it. If you know how to do it, you would do it with ease. So without learning how to do something, if we try to do it, without investing enough time in perception, if life is all expression, then life becomes a big struggle.
Rule number 12, be fearless.
Not a single day passes for me without witnessing tears of joy and love around me. Every day, somebody will be shedding tears of love and joy. I don't think there's a better way to live in this world. And all of us should strive to create our own circles of joyfulness and pleasantness around us. Because if you're not joyful by your own nature, if you're always going around with the fear of suffering, as long as fear of suffering is there within you, you will never walk your life with full stride. It'll always be half a step. Most human beings have crippled themselves simply because of fear of suffering. What will happen to me is always the question. Whatever happens, this is how I will be. If this assurance comes to you, only now you will want to scale the peaks of life and see what about it. If it happens, makes no difference to you. If it doesn't happen, makes no difference to you. That's when you would like to really explore every dimension of life. So first and foremost thing is this, that your way of being is not determined by what's around you. If you bring this one aspect to you, there is no fear of suffering. Once there is no fear of suffering, you will traverse the breadth and length of this life without hesitation.
Rule number 13, always do your best.
When the result of an event has no impact on you, both ways you blissed out, you're a success. when the fruit of the action does not determine how you are, it's just that you do things because of the exuberance of what you do, then you are a success. The result may depend on variety of things. Results are not always yours. For any result to happen, whether it's in a game or in life situations, there are various factors involved. Not all of it is in our control. But what is in our control is either we did our best or we did not do our best. That's in our control. As long as we're doing that, and whatever the result may be, if you are still blissed out, that means you are a success because life cannot defeat you anymore.
Rule number 14, be playful.
Being playful always has been understood as irresponsibility. Yes? Do you know, right from your childhood and probably to your children also you're doing this, if they're just playful, you think it's irresponsible. The most responsible way to live is that you're playful with life. It's absolutely irresponsible to carry a long face and walk around in this planet. Yes or no? Isn't it absolutely irresponsible to walk around with misery? Yes? That's the most irresponsible thing you can do. So being playful is not irresponsibility. Being playful is being very responsible and responsive to life. Only when you're playful, you can do that. When you're serious, the world doesn't exist for you, you and your nonsense. Yes? When you're serious, it's just about you and your nonsense. The world and other life does not exist for you. Only when you are playful, you can pay attention to everything. You can truly respond to everything in the world, only if you're playful. Otherwise you cannot. Just the burden of it will kill you.
Rule number 15, reach your fullest potential.
How to conquer fear and apathy on the way to success. That's all.
Okay. Fear about whether I will be successful or not. Where is apathy coming? No, your individual fear about whether I'll be successful or not, is that what you're talking? See, that's exactly what I've been telling you till now. Do not even think of success. Just enhance your capabilities. Strive to enhance who you are. Then what you can do, you'll anyway do, isn't it? Right now, you have an idea of success, but you don't have the competence for that. You want to go somewhere, but you don't have the legs to get there. Now, naturally there will be fear, naturally there'll be all kinds of unnecessary struggles and emotions. Instead of that, at this stage in your life, if you just focus on seeing how to enhance this human being to the highest possible level that you can, success will be a downhill run, not an uphill task. So, if you are going downhill, there's no fear, isn't it? Because whether I can get there or not, whether I can get there or not, you are working towards somebody else's idea of success. You're working towards somebody else's idea of success. That is not success. Your success is, you as a human being, you found your full potential. This is your success. And that's all you can do. Whether you stand on your head or you stand on your feet, the best that you can do, if this human being finds his fullest potential, that's all you can do. No matter what you do, you cannot do more, isn't it? Certain circumstances sometimes will loft us up, certain circumstances sometimes may not. But in the given circumstance, if you have blossomed to your fullest level, you will do well, isn't it? Don't think of success and be fearful about it. Just see how to make this one more and more capable. If the competence and capability is there, success will come as we deserve it.
Rule number 16, have balance.
All human experience is generated from within, is that so? All human experience is generated from within. So at any time, if you feel happy or unhappy, miserable, joyful, ecstatic, in a state of agony, doesn't matter what happens, what is your experience, pleasantness or unpleasantness, just to know that it's happening from within, and it can only happen from within.
You can either take external stimuli or you can create your own stimuli, but essentially it happens from within. This one thing, if it is not grasped, when you feel miserable, if you think it's this one, you're gone. You just… the keyboard is here, but you're punching the wall. This is not going to work. This one basic fundamental thing is something that almost 90% of the humanity is always doing it wrong. Whenever they feel miserable, they think it must be this one or that one or that one or that one. Now, all human experience is generated from within. If something is feeling unpleasant, first thing is to look at this. What am I doing wrong with this? Am I eating wrong? Am I sleeping wrong? Am I sitting wrong? Am I breathing wrong? Is my heart beating wrong? Something… my very chemistry is wrong. Something is wrong with this, not with that. So the moment you think by kicking the wall you can fix this one, then you made a fundamental mistake. The harder you try, the further away from it you go. The first thing is to bring balance. Once there is balance, then you can build a tower on top of this. If there is no balance, whatever you build will only lead to more trouble. The more basic you are, the better it is. So this is what a whole lot of humanity is seeking, somehow to remain basic. Because if you build something, it feels terrible when there is no fundamental balance. Anything standing up without balance is a big problem.
Rule number 17, define success for yourself.
It is somebody's idea of what is success, isn't it? Don't become a slave to somebody's idea. At least have your own idea. You have no idea of your own. Don't deceive yourself. Every idea, every thought, every emotion, every value that you have is picked up from somewhere and it rules you from within. It rules you from within. Your religion, your society, your culture has trained you to believe that this is it. So the first and foremost success is that you are not a slave to anybody's idea. This is success.
Rule number 18, be fully alive.
If you come to the idea of mortality once in a way, it'll make you depressed. It will make you fearful. If you live with it every moment, it will make you absolutely exuberant and alive because it is just this one thing, that this is not forever, this is just for a brief period of time. And the more joyful you are, briefer it becomes. If you're ecstatic, it'll just vanish in no time. Yes? So if you want to stretch it, you need to make yourself truly miserable. Otherwise, it'll be just gone in no time. If you come to terms with this, if you live this way, that every moment you appreciate one thing and only one thing, because the most important thing in your life is you're alive right now. To be alive, fully alive, 100% alive is the most important thing, because only if something is 100% alive can you make it yield something beautiful.
Rule number 19, do the right things.
A human being does not become who he is because of his desire. He becomes who he is because of his competence. So instead of enhancing your competence, you're just enhancing your desire, which will be just a horrible burden to carry all the time. You just focus on enhancing the competence of who this is, rather than enhancing your desire, I'm going to become a world champion. Everybody wants to become one, they're not going to become one, isn't it? Everybody wants to be successful. They will not be a success unless you do the right things. Success will not happen to you. Can I tell you a joke? You get it. 45 minutes, you gotta be serious.
Joke now?
We can?
You want a joke?
Yes.
You need a joke?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
Now let me tell you a joke.
Even better.
On a certain day, a man fell into a septic tank, right up till here in filth. He desperately tried to come out, he could not. Then he started screaming, "Fire! Fire!" Neighbors heard this, called the fire brigade, firemen came rushing. They looked all over the place, no fire. Then they found this man, they pulled him out and then they asked, "Why were you screaming fire? Where is the fire?" The man retorted, "If I said shit, shit, would you come?" You got to do the right things, otherwise right things will not happen to you. Just because you have a big desire, you're not going to get there. You got to do the right things.
Rule number 20, earn success.
Various situations in your life, either you can use it to make yourself stronger and better, or you can sit and cry. This is the choice you have. Everything. It doesn't matter what happens. The most horrific event happened in your life, that also can be used for your growth and your well-being, if you have clearly seen the small events of your life. When I say small events, I mean your business, your marriage, your children, all those big things. All these things are just a stepping stone. So, the fear of failure. Failure is bad enough. Fear is adding spice to it, isn't it? Success happens to you not because you desire it, because you earn it. Everybody desires it. It comes only if you're capable of it.
Rule number 21, be passionate about everything.
There are no right things to do in life. If you choose something and put everything that you have into it, it'll become a great thing. Is it the right thing? Is it the best thing? When you say, is it the right thing, what you're asking is it the best thing to do in life? There is no best thing to do in life. Anything that you take up and if you put your heart and soul into it, it becomes a great thing. Is it the best thing? No. Then what is the best thing? There is no such thing. Don't look at yourself as a Delhiite or an idiot, whatever you want to call yourself. If you're just a piece of life, Hello? Yes. And today you're here, one day you'll be poop, gone. You're a brief life. I want you to just imagine, you've seen those insects which come when it rains, ants which fly. Suppose you were that. You just came alive, poop, 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 and gone. That's what you are. Just compared to the span of your life, the insect's life is looking so meaningless and poop, poop, poop and gone. That's what the rivers are thinking about you. Poop, poop, poop and gone. Yes or no? Compared to their lifespan, you are just like that insect or less than the insect, isn't it so? I am not somebody who ever debated, is this the right thing to do in my life? What was needed, I jumped into it. Because if you're a constipated life, you will always be thinking about what to do, what not to do, what to do, what not to do, what is my passion, what is not my passion. Why the hell are you not passionate about everything? Hello?
Yes.
Why are you not passionate about everything in the existence? You're only passionate about one thing means what? You're constipated, that's what it means. Idiots do things that they don't like to do, suffer for their whole life because they think it's needed or they think it's their duty. Intelligent people do what they love to do. They enjoy their life to some extent. But a genius learns to do what is needed joyfully, that's when your genius flowers. Because it's no more about you. Now there's a limitless way of looking at life.
Rule number 22, be well managed.
If you try to control the variety of situations that may pop up in your face tomorrow morning, all that'll happen is you will become a very limited life. You would step out into the world and do whatever that needs to be done only if you have an assurance, no matter what you walk into, you will not lose yourself. You will walk full stride, otherwise you'll only be a half a step. Most human beings are half steps because the fear of suffering. If this happens, what'll happen to me? If that happens, what'll happen to me? If you're well managed within yourself, you know how to manage your thought, you know how to manage your emotion, you know how to manage your body, your chemistry, your energy. If you know how to manage all this, what does it matter if you walk into hell, I'm asking? If you are well managed, if you are a heaven within you, what does it matter where you go? Hell also will be an interesting place to go. But if you are ill-managed, then you want to be in a nice place all the time. You will not step out into anything. I'm not saying this is wrong, this is against nature, because in nature, every life is aspiring to be as much as it can be, isn't it? Every life is naturally aspiring, this is not a philosophy, this is not an ideology that you must do this or that. It is natural and intrinsic for every life that it will do as much as it can. From an earthworm, from a worm to an insect to a bird, to an animal to a tree, every one of them are trying to be full-fledged life. If you go against this simply because of the fear of suffering, then all possibilities of exploring the nature of being human, the tremendous immensity of being human is just lost upon humanity. Today, you will see this everywhere. When people say, I am only human, they are talking about the limitations of being human. They are not talking about the possibilities of being human, isn't it? If we are the most intelligent species on the planet, if we are the most capable species on the planet, should we be talking about our possibilities or should we be talking about our limitations? Whenever anybody writes or says, oh, we are human, they're always referring to their limitations, never to the possibilities of being human. This is because the most fundamental things have not been taught in our education systems, how to handle your thought and your emotion. Your psychological drama has gone out of control. It's a badly directed drama, believe me. If it was a well-directed drama, you would take it to the conclusion that you want, isn't it? Because it's a badly directed drama, just about anybody can take charge of it. Who is the director of your psychological drama? Just about anybody, isn't it? Anybody can make it into a tragedy.
Rule number 23, build your competence.
Competition is a good thing. If you're incompetent and you're in competition, you will feel stressed. So, if you want to be in a competitive situation, the thing is you have to work on your competence. Right now the problem is, you're tweaking your desire, you're not tweaking your competence. This is what has to happen, that we must teach children to tweak their competence, not their desire. We are calling this ambition, we are calling this goal-orientedness. Ambition means what? You tweaked up your desire, you'll suffer invariably. If you tweak up your competence, you will see wherever you go, you're doing better than what people expect you to, so naturally, things will go well for you. Competition is not the bad thing, lack of competence is the bad thing. So instead of competence, we have big desires. If you focus enough on enhancing your competence, you will see there is such joy in breaking limitations every day and becoming something better, you don't care a damn how somebody else is doing.
Rule number 24, prioritize.
Suppose, let's say you have to cook something, let's say you have to bake a cake or you want to cook some rice. You turn on the stove, turn off the stove, turn on the stove, turn off the stove. It's a long process. And of course, dinner won't happen. So this is the story of majority of the spiritual seekers. They're off and on and off and on and off and on. Oh, does it mean to say I must be only here, there? That's not it. The priority should not shift. The priority is set, slowly everything within you will slowly organize itself in that direction. Because the priority is shifting, this life does not know which way to go, it's just confused. Every 2 minutes if you change the destination on the GPS, for sure it does not know where to go, isn't it? So this is what is happening in most people. This is why spiritual path seems to be arduous, long, impossible, unattainable, all these things, simply because people are shifting priorities all the time.
Rule number 25, ride the wave of life.
Is it true that every other creature on this planet, a worm, an insect, a bird, an animal, with a millionth of our brain, they're conducting their life process quite well? Hello?
Yes.
Are they? When I say life process, we are born, they are born, just like that. We grow up, they grow up. We make a living, they make a living. We may reproduce, they reproduce. We do all this with enormous fuss. They simply do it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Every simple thing, we're doing it with enormous fuss. They are simply doing it. Different various processes of life and death, they are doing it without fuss. We are doing everything with great fuss. Is this a sign of highest level of intelligence, I'm asking? We are supposed to be the most intelligent, and there is no question that we have the most evolved neurological process on the planet, yes? We have the most evolved neurological system that we must be able to sense and feel and experience and perceive, understand and express things in the highest possible way. But no other creature on the planet is struggling like the human creature right now. This is simply because you have been given a super computer. Do you agree with me that this is the most sophisticated gadget on the planet? Yes. Not the iPhone, the I. But now the question is, have you read the user's manual? That's all. People have not read the user's manual for the most complex machine on the planet and somehow blundering through, somehow trying to use it. Everything is a problem. Tell me one thing that human beings are not suffering. If they're poor, they suffer their poverty. You make them rich, they suffer the taxes. If they're not educated, they suffer that. Put them to school, lot of suffering. Not married, they suffer that. Get them married. I didn't say anything. I didn't say a thing, okay? No children, some people suffer that. Children, daily suffering. So you seem to be suffering every aspect of life. So if you offer death, will you go joyfully? No, you will suffer that. So tell me one thing that we are not suffering. Now people weave philosophies, life is suffering. No, life is not suffering, nor is it a joy. It's simply there, it's a phenomena. If you ride it, it feels fantastic. If you're crushed by it, it feels terrible. So are you riding the wave of life or are you being crushed by it? That's all the question is.
Rule number 26, be interested in people.
I must say this, just a couple of weeks ago, I was in conversation with someone who is considered some kind of an expert on internet affairs and social media and all this. So, he's been looking at our material in the YouTube and various other platforms, And I said, easily I can give you 50 times more than what is there. You know, just people work on all the thousands of hours of audio and video that's there in the archive, 50 times more in a year's time we can multiply it by 50, that much material is there. He said, Sadhguru, already what is there here, you're throwing it all over the place, it's worth $1 billion. I said, see, what will I do with $1 billion? My interest is 7 billion people. I have no interest in $1 billion. What do I do with it? My interest is people.
Rule number 27, strive for a better life.
As a generation, if you create a huge amount of positives, negative will become small. If you create huge amount of negatives, they will become big and positive will become small. This is all life is. There has never been a point, any time, and there never will be, where everything is perfect, okay? There's no such thing. Because life is a possibility. Because it's a possibility, it cannot be perfect. Doesn't matter what we do, there's still something more to do, always. That is why it's an endless possibility. Striving does not mean I want to be a good man, I want to be a good man. See, being morally good is only good for the society, not good for the human being. Yes? If you're morally correct, it's good for people around you because you're contained, but it's not good for this life. So this life needs a little different kind of nurture. In that context, how many people in this world are going to strive? Before you and me fall dead, how many people will be set this seed that they will be striving to be a better life than the way they are right now? A little higher expression of life. This is all your focus should be.
Rule number 28, don't pass on bad things.
The Japanese people eat much less fat than the Americans and the British. Because of this, people believe they have much less incidence of cardiac arrest. Less people in Japan die of heart failures and heart attacks than they do in UK and in United States. But the French eat a lot more fat, but still they have much less incidence of cardiac problems compared to the British and the Americans. The Japanese people don't drink much wine, so they have much less cardiac problems. But the Italians drink only wine, and they also have much less cardiac problems than the English and the Americans. So the deduction is, it is the English language which is the problem. The English speaking which is the problem. So this has been a problem everywhere, that we try to transplant what is happening in one place simply as it is in another place. Not just geographically and culturally, even from individual to individual. That what worked for one person, we try to make it work for another person and destroy that person completely. Unfortunately, this is labeled as education, mass-producing people. Though we are a mass of people on this planet, a huge number, over 7 billion people, still you were produced individually, not mass-produced, are you? Right from my childhood, I've been noticing this, that most adults want to teach something when they see children. All those damn things which have not worked in their life. This is one vow you have to take with me, that is, from this moment onwards in your life, you will not pass on anything that has not worked for you to anybody else.
Hello? Even if you cannot pass on the best things to other people, at least what has not worked for you, you don't give it to anybody. Will you do this? Does anger work for you? So don't give it to anybody. Does misery work for you? Does depression work for you? So, if you are angry, if you're depressed, you're miserable, just shut up, okay? And sit in one place and handle it.
Rule number 29, don't try to be intuitive.
People start developing these things for everything. When their logic fails, they will think that, you want to do something, you don't know how to do it. You're not sure whether to do it or not do it. Then the simple solution they're taking is, okay, this finger is this finger is this, yes, no. Give it to the child, if he holds this, yes, if he holds this, no. This is not intuition. No, I will come to you, I'm going more basic. The answer is not just about you, I'm just using it. Now, this is just that your logic has become, incapable, it's collapsed, unable to come to your logical decision. So, you are succumbing to this simple way. If some child holds your hand like this or like this, yes or no. Anyway, when there are two options, 50% of the time you could be right. Yes? Being 50% of the time right is not good enough, isn't it? Yes? Isn't it so? I was, some time ago I was visiting a homeopathic doctor. There in his clinic they had put up an ad. Some homeopathic medicine which will work for all kinds of snake bites. You're living in Bombay, probably it's not an issue for you. Where I come from, snakes are everywhere on a daily basis. So I looked at this and then I asked him, how come this medicine you're advertising that it works for all kinds of snake bites? Because if you are not already aware of this, snake bites are fundamentally of two kinds. One type of venom attacks your cardiovascular system, another kind of venom attacks your nervous system. They're two completely different kind of chemicals and it works upon your system in a different way. Generally for both you have different types of antidotes, but for everything this particular medicine is supposed to work, how is that possible? So the doctor said, see in India, 90% of the Indian snakes are non-poisonous. So 90% of the time it works. So, that's not good enough, isn't it? It's the remaining 10% which is crucial, isn't it so? So, intuition, don't get into this thing about you trying to be intuitive. Never try to be intuitive. Logic is dependable, isn't it? There are moments when there is certain clarity which has no logical explanation. At that time, it's okay, but you never try to be intuitive. If you try to be intuitive, your logical mind will become deceptive and come to all kinds of stupid decisions. You'll get suddenly guidance, voices from the heaven, all kinds of voices people are hearing. Logic is dependable, go by it, at least you won't make a fool of yourself.
Rule number 30, get into nature.
If you can find a place where there are no sounds of machines and your cell phone will not tink-tink, quietly if you can listen to the sound of the trees, the breeze, the water, just the natural sounds, if you pay enough attention, tremendous things will happen to you. Many times I've been in the South Indian, they're kind of tropical rainforests. The longest I've been there through the jungle for about 23 days alone. No any kind of support, no cell phone for sure those days and not even a torchlight. And fourth day I ran out of the food that I was carrying, so I lived off the forest. By about eighth day, I lost my jacket and one half of my shirt because I was chased by some animals and by
that whole thing. I had half a shirt and pants. And I walked through, this is elephant country, tiger country. I saw tigers, panthers, elephants, all kinds of… the wild buffalo, various kinds of animals, very close quarters. But at the end of it, when you look back, what is the biggest impact on you? It's the insects. It's in the nights, the orchestra that goes on in the rainforest. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. And the timing, every day, night 2:15 means one group will stop and the other group will start. Really, their sense of time, every day, exactly by the second, one group will start, another group will start. And you don't know what they're talking about. They're definitely talking something that you don't know, for sure. They're not just making dumb noises. So if you just sit there and listen and listen and listen and listen, slowly you start noticing there is a pattern and an organization to this which is far bigger than any human symphonies that you can achieve, far more complex and far more intense. I think it's very important for every human being, particularly if you have children. Vacation need not be Disneyland. I'm not against it, but one trip is enough, all silly stuff which excites you. Vacation should be into nature. If you can take your children, walk in a jungle, not in a resort, just live on a mountain, expose them to nature, I will tell you, you will bring up your children not only physically healthy, mentally healthy, far more sensible and accepting and wonderful kind of human beings if they know how to… Because once you go into nature, whose son you are, whose daughter you are, what are you in the city doesn't matter, okay? It's very important that everybody experiences that, otherwise you start creating your own illusions as to who you are and you start believing it for sure.
Rule number 31, turn off the problems.
It's time to understand all the problems of individual nature are generated from within. And we don't have to solve problems that we create, we just have to dissolve. No? Problems that you create, you don't have to solve. If there is a problem in the situation, yes, we have to solve. But you have a problem within you, solution is not what you need, solution is madness. Solution means, for an illusion, you're creating an illusory solution, something that you make up. For that, you create one more solution that you made up once again. No, you just have to turn off the problems. You're going through a certain drama, only thing is you're a lousy director. That's all there is. Instead of improving your direction, now you're trying to find a solution for a situation in a drama. It's like people watch a cinema and come home and they have big arguments about what happened there. So, the thoughts and emotions that you create, you don't have to find any solution for it. If you just turn it off, it's gone. If you find solution, you moving towards insanity. Because you create a ghost and you create a ghostbuster. The ghosts that you create, you must learn to play with them. Hello? I'm saying if nobody willing to play with you, you have to play with somebody, right? So the ghosts you create, if you like them, you play with them. If you don't like them, turn them off. But Sadhguru, they keep coming. You don't play. Don't like to play with them, don't play. They come and go. Never it ever happened that one thought remained for more than a moment, isn't it? It comes and goes, comes and goes. Let it come and go. If you try to find a solution for that, you will head towards insanity.
Rule number 32, unleash your potential.
I told a story of a man who had wings but never used them to fly and just reproduced and had a life, and isn't it a tragedy that he never used his wings to fly? Do you feel like most of us are walking through life with wings and we never use them to fly?
Unfortunately, yes, a whole lot of people, too many people. It's time that human potential is unleashed, because we are the first generation on the planet for whom our survival is organized better than ever before, ever before. So this is the time to unlock our potential, to lose those all kinds of inhibitions and fears that we had. There was a time, if as much as a cloud gathered and lightning and thunder happened, we thought God was angry with us.
Right.
Okay? All those things are gone. It is time you take away the nonsense that's happening within you. And the entire process, the science of inner engineering is just this, how to work at it in a scientific manner, not with philosophy. I can tell you 1,000 times, give up your fear, it's not going to go. But if your chemical soup is blissful, there's not even a idea of fear in your mind.
It reminds me of your concept of the movies. You play the movies in your mind, you can choose a drama, you can choose a horror story, or you can choose a positive movie and not get stuck in the same movie forever. You can turn it off and start a new one.
Yeah, but for that you should know where the switches are.
Right.
You are like a supercomputer, but you haven't found the keyboard yet. Time to find the keyboard. That's my work, to give people the keyboard to their supercomputer.
Rule number 33, seek knowledge.
See, the reason, the only reason a human being will seek to know something is because he realizes that he does not know. If he does not realize that he does not know, there will be no longing to know, there will be no seeking to know, and definitely there will be no knowing. It's not possible. Whether it is spiritual seeking or any other kind of knowledge, you will seek only because you realize you do not know. If you think you know everything or you believe you know everything, you will be just too full of yourself, that's all. And that is a huge problem, that's a very big problem. Though we have a culturally cultivated humility that you see all over the place, everybody is like this only, but still too full of yourself. When you bend, nothing goes out of your head. It doesn't make any space, I'm saying. Because my head is open, that's why I'm bandaged, can you see?
Rule number 34, be truthful to yourself.
One thing that you must do to yourself is, you are absolutely truthful to yourself. If you're also truthful to everybody around you, you will get other kinds of benefits with people. But I will not go that far right now. With yourself, you are 100% truthful. Otherwise, all kinds of tricks keep happening. To be truthful to yourself is not an easy thing, because there is lifetimes of habit of simply boasting yourself. A guest came to Shankaran Pillai's house. And being a South Indian man, down south, you know, Pillais come from further down south. He was carrying an umbrella, which is a common thing. In Kerala and southern Tamil Nadu, to carry an umbrella is a very common thing because rains can be very heavy. Then they walked out, he took the guest out, then it started raining. But Shankaran Pillai did not open the umbrella. The guest said, "Why don't you open the umbrella?" Shankaran Pillai said, "I'm sorry, the umbrella is full of holes." Then the guest asked, "Why did you bring it?" "Well, I never thought it'll rain today." A whole lot of people are like this. They think somebody else has to catch their lice. This will take a long time because someone else catching your lice will take lifetimes. You must catch them. You should not let your chickens pass. To become 100% straight with yourself, it'll take a certain amount of application. But if this one thing you do, asatoma sadgamaya, this piece of life will work for sure, 100%. Then figuring out a few things is very simple. For that I am there. If you just fix this one thing, that you're 100% straight, no any kind of deception. When there's a hole in the umbrella, you know there is a hole in the umbrella. You will never forget that there is a hole in the umbrella, okay? If you are like this, rest of the work becomes very simple and easy.
Rule number 35, make the best out of everything.
How to address the larger issues of my life? There are no large issues in your life.
Somebody needs to help me understand that.
What is the large issue that you're talking about? It is just about what job to take, which girl to marry,
That about covers it.
where to go for vacation, whether to get married or not get married, These are the things, isn't it? These are not large issues, these are little things in your life. Yes, oh, is it just a small thing whom I get married to? I'm not saying it's a small thing, but as an issue, it's a small issue, little issue. As a consequence to your life, yes, it has many things. But this is something that human beings have done for millions of years. We have enough experience on these things, isn't it? We know that whatever job we take, whoever we marry, it is just the way we make out of it. Every experience of life, you can make it an enriching experience. Every experience in your life, you can make a curse out of it. See, there is nothing wrong in your job, whatever job you're doing. There's nothing wrong getting this job, there's nothing wrong in losing this job. There's nothing wrong in getting married, there's nothing wrong in getting divorced. There's nothing wrong in not getting married. There is nothing wrong in anything, there's nothing wrong in this or that. But it is just that you make misery out of it, that's wrong. If you do this, you make misery out of it. If you do that, you make misery out of it. That's what is wrong with you. So you got married, is it wrong? That's not the point. There's nothing wrong with it. You did not get married, is it wrong? No, there's nothing wrong with it, that's wonderful too. You got divorced, is it wrong? No, that's also wonderful. It is just that you make misery out of everything, that's what is wrong. You just address that one issue, everything will be settled.
Rule number 36, live a full-fledged life.
People are always thinking that something else or somebody else is restricting their freedom. But one's freedom is lost simply because they are tangled up with their own body and their own mind. These are two dimensions of you, two faculties. Unless your body and your mind is fully in your hands, if they're continuously working for you, never against you, only then you can live a successful life. People have approached inner well-being either with belief systems or philosophies or ideologies or some wacky ideas of their own. It's time to approach your inner well-being in a scientific manner. As there is science and technology to create external well-being, there is a whole science and technology to create inner well-being. That is what we calling as inner engineering, technologies for well-being. It is time that you approach your inner well-being also in a scientific, systematic way and employ technologies to create this well-being. Everything else you're using technology, you understand that technology can facilitate everything on the outside.
Why don't you understand that the best piece of technology on this planet is this human mechanism? Unless you approach it properly, it will not yield. Living here as half a human being is not good enough. Right now, people's idea of success is they're doing better than their neighbor. No. Your idea of success should be that you are a full-fledged life, because this is not my idea, this is not my philosophy. This is the longing of every life, every worm, insect, bird, tree, animal and also a human being are always striving to become a full-fledged life. But we know what is a full-fledged worm, we know what is a full-fledged insect, we know what is a full-fledged apple tree, but we don't know what's a full-fledged human being. That's where the problem is.
Rule number 37, don't conquer, embrace.
The purpose of business or the purpose or the goals of big business is to expand. You can expand in two different ways. One is by conquest, another is by embrace. I can conquer you or I can embrace you. Both ways you will become mine. If I embrace you, you will become mine willingly and I will have better use of you in every possible way. I'm talking business, this is not my personal thing. But if I conquer you, I will still have you, but I have to sit on top of your head and make you do things, and you will do everything possible to make my life miserable. Yes or no?
True, absolutely.
So, people are trying to conquer and their businesses and their activity is doing everything possible to make them miserable, and you can see it on their faces. Successful people are showing miserable faces, which is a wrong message to send to the world, particularly to the youth. If you send a message that success is misery, you're destroying humanity. Success is the sweetest thing that can happen to a human being. But now you take the most successful 10,000 people on the planet, you will see they are an epitome of tension and anxiety and misery. You are sending a completely wrong message. This you can see took such a bad turn in United States of America in the 60s. The so-called corporates brutally wanting to grow, conquer the world, set such an image of themselves. The youth thought it's better to sit in the street corner and smoke pot. And it's a better way to live, at least you're happy, you're not causing any damage to anybody. This is a horrible way to exist. So it's extremely important that successful people send a clear message, success is a beautiful thing. It is not a suffering, it is not a miserable thing to do in your life. If this has to happen, your expansion has to happen by embrace, not by conquest.
Rule number 38, find stability.
The spiritual process means to become like a mountain, stable, still. Because it's only when somebody has a very stable base, many things can be done. Exuberance of life is possible only if there is absolute stability. Otherwise, exuberance will lead to madness. Yes? That's why a lot of people who are a little creative, little active, little exuberant, always end up being freaky and nearly insane. Because without stability, you cannot have a dance going. This is why Shiva means stillness, Shiva means dance at the same time. Either you see him sitting absolutely still or you see him in an explosion of dance, because an explosion is possible only when there is a stable base. An explosion which is not destructive is possible only when there is stability. And stability, people try to become stable by controlling and trimming their lives. This is the way your grandmother would tell you how to be stable. Control yourself, then you will be stable. Yes, if you're dead, you will be stable. Very. I promise you that. So normally, people who talk about stability are all constipated existence. You know what's constipation? That means it happens little by little. Their joy, their love, their ecstasy happens little by little, here and there. That's constipation. So, stability is not because you have trimmed your life down or pruned it down to minimal and you're stable. That's of no consequence. Stability because you see everything utterly clearly. That is why when we say Adiyogi, we're talking about stability, at the same time an exuberant dance. This is possible only because he has more than two eyes, not necessarily three, more than two. That means he sees much more than most people ever see. Because he sees much more, able to be stable. Stability it takes to allow exuberance to happen. Otherwise, you keep curtailing your exuberance because it hurts when it's out of balance. If you're out of balance and you move at a certain speed, you're going to hurt yourself. Whether you're riding a bicycle or you're riding the cosmos. If you're out of balance and you attain speed, you're going to hurt yourself very badly. So balance is very important, and balance that comes out of curtailment is not balance, that's, packaged death.
Rule number 39, reduce friction.
So you must understand this. If everything that you try to do is becoming frictious, friction is happening, obviously you're the sandpaper. You know what's a sandpaper? I'll ask them to provide you a sandpaper, a small piece. Every day whenever you have a friction with somebody, just scrape your skin somewhere. So if you don't cure yourself quickly, you won't have any skin left. When you don't have any skin left, then you will not touch anything. You will not you will not look for any friction. You will walk in… Suppose you had no skin, how would you walk? Even a little feather won't touch you, like that you will walk, isn't it? Because everything hurts now. So if you want that kind of treatment, we can do. Otherwise, first come to your senses. Friction is happening means wherever you go, friction is happening. Obviously it's you. One simple thing you can do to reduce friction is, I've told you many times but you've not done this, is whatever you're saying in a day or in an hour or in a minute, how many words per minute are you uttering? Bring it down to 50%, still do the same work. You will see a whole lot of friction will go down, simply because you're not blabbering. Yes? And we've been trying to train you. Whatever you see, whether you see a man, woman, child, cow, donkey, donkey also, you do. No. How will friction not happen? It will happen. So, only when Sadhguru is here like this, the rest of the time like this, it won't work. Bring this into you, not just as a symbolism, genuinely. So, friction, there are two kinds, one within ourselves. Outside is just an expression and a consequence. So, this whole thing about inner engineering means just this.
that when you sit here, you can sit here without any friction. If you can sit here without any friction, outside friction also will go down. But when you meet a sandpaper, there must be some friction. There are sandpapers. Hello? So when you meet a sandpaper, there must be friction. Otherwise how? There will be. So generally we avoid sandpaper if we can, but sometimes we have to work with them. When we have to work with the sandpaper, you need tact. This is something you have to learn, this will not come. This is nothing spiritual about it, this is tact in the society. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it's a question of skill. Some people who are not spiritual in any way, they are very tactful when they meet sandpapers. You will see these kind of agents and others who are working in government offices and in political atmospheres, they are so smooth. It doesn't matter how rough the other person is, these people they'll just get their job done and leave. So working with sandpaper takes a little bit of skill and experience. Nothing spiritual about it, it's a social skill. But generally, in the ashram, there are very few sandpapers. Once in a way, people pop up sand on them, but they drop it, you know. They don't keep it all the time. Sometimes they are like that. They're not like that all the time. So when they are like that, when the porcupine has its thing up, you must just keep away a bit. When it's down, you can talk to it. It doesn't keep it up all the time. It doesn't have the strength to do that. So, your friction, you must understand it's just you.
Rule number 40, tell great stories.
On a certain day, a bull and a pheasant were grazing. Bull was chomping the grass, pheasant was picking ticks off the bull partnership. There's a huge tree at the edge of the field. The pheasant very nostalgically looked at the tree and said, "Oh, alas, there was a time I could fly to the topmost branch of the tree. Now I do not have enough strength in my wing even to get to the first branch." The bull very nonchalantly said, "That's no issue. Just eat a little bit of my dung every day. Within a fortnight you'll get there." Pheasant said, "Come on, what kind of rubbish is that?" The bull said, "Really, try and see, the whole humanity is on it." So very hesitantly, the pheasant started pecking at the dung, and lo, on the very first day it reached the first branch of the tree. Within a fortnight, it reached the topmost branch of the tree, just beginning to enjoy the scenery. An old farmer was rocking on his rocking chair, saw a fat old pheasant sitting on top of the tree, pulled out his shotgun and shot the bird off the tree. The moral of the story is, many times even bullshit can get you to the top, but it never lets you stay there.
Rule number 41, do what you want.
See, if you're postponing something, you're obviously doing something that you don't want to do. If there is something that you really want to do, will you postpone it or prepone it? Hello? Do you see somebody is waiting for someone they badly want to see? Only 10 minutes. In the 10 minutes, they will look at the watch 25 times. Why? They want to prepone it. You're doing something that you don't want to do, so you want to postpone it. I'm asking, why the hell are you doing something that you don't want to do? No, because if I do this, I will get that, I will get that. That's not the point. There's nothing to get in this life. There's really nothing to get in this life. Either you lived this life in a profound and intense manner, or you did not. What will you get in the end? Huh? If somebody dies in the agricultural college, do they bury them or fire them? How is it? What's the tradition? Burying is good for agriculture, because human beings make good manure. So in the end, what will happen to you and me? They will either bury us or burn us. That's all will happen in the end. You think something else, they'll give you a prize? Nothing will happen in the end. Only thing is the process of life. How wonderfully did you live? That's all there is. So if you are doing something really wonderful, do you want to prepone it or postpone it? Huh? Prepone only. So you must find what is it that you really want to do. If you find that one thing, you will always prepone everything, not postpone.
Rule number 42, become wise.
This happened in 1941. This is just when the Nazi movement was building up in Germany and in some parts of Europe. So one day in Austria, a bunch of German soldiers came, broke into the homes, the Jewish family, a rich family, they broke the home and took away the adults, everything was robbed. And these two children, a 12-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy were taken away. They were taken to a railway station. This is the month of November end, December kind of time, when it's becoming very cold. So they were kept in the railway station for 3 days because the trains did not come. Boys, little boys being boys, they started playing football. So they were playing football and then suddenly the train came. The train is not a passenger train, it's a cargo train, the goods train. So when the train came, the soldiers came and rushed everybody into the wagons which are there. Everybody got in and the little boy and the girl also got in, but the little boy forgot to wear his shoes. He left his shoes outside and they pushed him into the wagon. So without shoes he came. His sister, a 12-year-old girl, saw her kid brother coming without shoes and she got mad with him. She held him by the ear, boxed his ears, scolded him nicely, slapped him. Say, "You idiot, already we are in enough trouble, now you come without shoes." Because in Germany in winter, no shoes means you may lose your feet. So she's angry about that. In the next station, the boys and girls were separated. After 4 years, after the war was over, she came out of the concentration camp to find 17 members of her family, including her little brother, all had vanished. No records, no sign of them, they just evaporated. At that time, the only thing that bothered her was the last few things that she said to her little brother. She loves her brother, but the last few things that she said to him were such terrible things, it rang in her mind and troubled her. These are the last things I told my brother and after that I'm never going to see him, he's gone. So she took a vow, if I speak to anybody in my life, I will speak in such a way, if this is my last word, I will not regret. This one thing transformed her life in such a way. She went on to United States, she died in 2006, she did some phenomenal work, built a hospital somewhere near Chicago, I think. She lived a fruitful life. I'm saying, even if you're put through the most horrible situations, either you can come out using that experience as a better human being, or you can use the experience to become a horrible mess. So whenever something hurts you, there are two options. You can either become wounded or you can become wise. This is the choice. The more things hurt you early on in your life, the wiser you should have become, isn't it? But unfortunately, most people become wounded. This is simply because they just need an excuse to turn their own intelligence against themselves, that's all. Especially if the world around you turns against you, is it not very, very important that your intelligence stands up for you?
Rule number 43, control your mind.
Around us, so many people will do so many things that we don't like. Yes or no? So many things in Mumbai happening, things that we don't like are every day happening. But at least within you, only what you want should happen within this, isn't it? Huh? I cannot decide that only what I want should happen with you. But I can definitely decide only what I want must happen within me, isn't it? If you could decide only what you want should happen within you, would you choose anger or joy? What's your choice? Please choose, I'm going to bless you. See, you want the highest level of pleasantness for yourself, isn't it? Then why is such a thing not happening? As I said earlier, you never read the user's manual. How this functions has not been looked at. Do not go by the example of people who came here a few years earlier than you. That, no, my mother also was like that, my grandmother also was getting angry, so I am also getting angry. They should not be the leading lights of your life. I want you to look at it. Your thought, your emotion, your body must happen the way you want, isn't it? Huh? If somebody else can decide what should happen within you, this is ultimate slavery, isn't it so? What happens around you, maybe we can decide, but nobody should decide except yourself what happens within you. If you decide, you would keep this in the high state of pleasantness for sure. You wouldn't be battling with anger. It's not just about anger, fear, stress, tension, don't address them separately. Essentially, your mind is not taking instructions from you. Why? Because you don't know where the damn keyboard is. Yet, we gave you a supercomputer, you do not know where the keyboard is. So one day you did this, something worked, another day you did this, something worked. You know, have you seen people? The radio doesn't work, boom, and it works sometimes. That's not a technology, that's chance. Have you seen this? If something doesn't work, people think tap, 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 it'll work. And a lot of people are using this for human beings also.
Rule number 44, work for your own well-being.
The fear of suffering is not just about pain, the fear of suffering is self-inflicted. Nobody can cause mental pain to you, it is you, in reaction to something that happens around you, that you cause pain to yourself. If you have half your brain removed, then you would see, you would be quite peaceful. Right now people are going through stress, anxiety, depression, misery, all kinds of things. You can give it any number of exotic names that you want, but essentially their intelligence is turned against them, that's all it is. Once your intelligence is against you, there is no force on the planet or anywhere which can save you. So the fundamental thing is to bring this, that all the faculties that we have should work for our well-being. Right now, our own body, our own mind, our own emotions are working against us. This one thing has to be fixed. This is the mission.
Rule number 45, study your opponent.
This happened in the year 98-99. Andre Agassi and Boris Becker played 3 games. All Boris Becker beat Andre Agassi because he had such a… he was called Boom Boom because… Boris Becker was called Boom Boom because of the service. His serves were so powerful, there was no game. Every time he will serve and finish the game. Nobody returns the ball. So, Andre Agassi went back and studied hundreds of hours of Boris Becker's serves. Then he figured it out. Then in the next 3 years, he played 11 games with him and beat him on 10 of them. And I'll tell you what happened. After Boris Becker retired, they met in Germany, there's something called the Oktoberfest in Germany, they were there. And at that time, they were together and Andre Agassi thought, okay, anyway, he's retired, now I can tell him. Because this bothered Boris Becker big time, nobody can beat him, but this guy's getting at him. So he told him, see, I observed your videos continuously and I figured out that whenever you're serving the ball towards the boundary line, Boris Becker, if you know, when he's serving, his tongue sticks out a little bit. When he throws the ball up and comes down, his tongue sticks out. Said, whenever you're serving towards the boundary line, your tongue goes to the left. When you're serving straight, it comes out straight. I observed this, the moment your tongue sticks out to the boundary line, I was already there every time taking the ball. So, Boris Becker literally fell off his chair, he couldn't believe this. And he said, any number of times I went home after the matches and I told my wife, he seems to be reading my mind. But you've been reading my tongue. It's almost spoken. So, your opponent should be never unfamiliar to you. You must make him familiar. You must know him better than he knows himself.
Rule number 46, make life better.
Just to give a little bit of context, we saw the video of Sadhguruji running on Himalayas, playing football, playing cricket. So sir, in that context, how to keep yourself on the go all the time?
On the go? You don't have to be on the go all the time. If life demands, people ask me, Sadhguru, how are you active like this? Because generally my schedule is anywhere between 18 to 20 hours a day, 7 days of the week, 365 days, non-stop. For many years it's going on. Why? I'm complaining and the guy's clapping about it. So people keep asking, how do you keep yourself like this? How do you do this? See, I'm essentially lazy. It's just that the situation in the world demands action. Left to myself, I would close my eyes and simply sit. I'm made like this, if I close my eyes, I can sit like this till I fall dead. Really. I have really no need for action, I'm not trying to keep myself busy. There's a lot to be done, so you're doing. People ask me, Sadhguru, what's your dream? What is your dream? I said, my dream is the day I'm unemployed, that's a great day. Because if I'm unemployed, it simply means everybody is doing fantastic. What more do you want? Dream fulfilled? So, action is not something that you decide. You just decide your intent. Action, the world will decide how much of what. I'm, at these economic forums and stuff, I'm at the World Economic Forum. This guy from one of the business schools in Harvard Business School, one professor comes, oh, you're that amazing tree planter. I said, no, I'm not a tree planter. He said, no, you planted those millions of trees. Yes, I did, but I'm not a tree planter. Asked me, then what do? I said, I make people flower. Not plant trees, but I'm planting trees because the goddamn trees are missing where they should have been. Where they should have been, they're not there. It's like this, two men were working on the street. One man is digging pits, behind him another man is coming and closing and going. Somebody else was driving by, they saw this ridiculous activity. One guy digs the pit, another guy closes the pit. So they stopped and said, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you guys working like this? One guy digging, another guy closing. They said, no, the in-between guy has gone on leave, he's the tree planter. He's not there, we're doing our work. So lot of people are doing work like this, I'm doing my work. You have no work on this planet. If the planet needs work, if the world needs work, we will do it. Otherwise, why should I think this is my work? Sadhguru, what's your mission? I said, no mission, I'm just fooling around a bit. Because you have no business to have your own mission. Life has its own mission. In some way, if you can assist and serve that, that's about it. What is it that you have your own mission? Are you some kind of a tyrant? All missionaries are tyrants in some way, unknowingly. Yes, those who think they have a mission. There is no mission. What is needed you do, especially when you study in a business school and get certain competence to manage things or create things. You must create what is needed, not create some rubbish and push it on them. Yes? Yes or no? Yes. You must see how to make life better, how to solve situations which are problematic to a whole lot of people. You must look for solutions and solutions for the existing situations. And of course, there are experts who go on creating new problems. So you will never be short of problems, believe me. You just have to create solutions, not go on a mission mode. That's for Mussolini.
Rule number 47, take control of your life.
What people are generally calling as destiny is essentially what they end up creating unconsciously. When I say unconsciously, as you sit here right now, as everybody sits here right now, there is physical activity going on within the system. There is mental process, there is emotional activity, and of course the life energies are active. Every moment, they are taking in hundreds of inputs, whether you're conscious or not conscious. So if I ask you a question, since this morning, from the time you woke up till now, of these 4 dimensions of activity, how much have you conducted consciously? What percentage do you think?
Few things.
How much percentage do you think?
25%.
You are very generous, man. It's well below 1%. If you walk from there to there, there will be 25 different kind of smells that you're not conscious of, but the body registers and records. There are 100 different kinds of sounds that the body registers that you're not conscious of. Like this throughout the day and night, in wakefulness and sleep, this is happening. When you are only conscious of less than 1% of your activity, definitely life will look like an accident. Hello? When 99% of the things that you're doing unconsciously, definitely life will look accidental. If the accident… See, it is so happened, somebody fell off on the street and had a brain injury, after that suddenly, they started working their mathematics in a wonderful way. But that was only one. 1,000 other people who cracked their skull never recovered from that, or they died, or those who lived on much diminished. So, being accidentally fortunate is not the way to exist. So, whenever a pleasant accident happens, we say it's destiny. Some of you even say, God doing things to me. When did you make a partnership with him? I don't know. So, shall I tell you a story? Are you okay? This happened. Sherlock Holmes, you know Sherlock Holmes? And Watson went out camping, and early morning, 3:30 a.m., Sherlock Holmes nudged Watson. He opened his eyes, "What? What do you see?" he asked. "Well, I see a clear sky and stars." "What does it mean to you?" He said, "Well, that means tomorrow is going to be a wonderful sunny day." Then he asked, "What does it mean to you?" He said, "It means someone has stolen our tent." So, we don't know what went missing, and something may fall here and there by chance, but that's not the way life works. If a human being doesn't take it upon himself or herself to make their own destiny, they're still having an evolutionary problem. That is, they're still not yet fully there. Because being human means this, that we can conduct our life consciously. Being human means this, that we can craft our life the way we want. But this destiny business is a good insurance to handle your failure. Whenever you fail, destiny, it's God's will.
Rule number 48, become the best version of yourself.
Just because somebody is successful, this doesn't mean they've figured out everything. This doesn't mean they're at ease with life. This doesn't mean their life is in some way fulfilled. No, because today our idea of success is just doing little better than somebody else. You doing little better than somebody else means, and you're very happy about that, what it means is you're actually enjoying other people's failures. If somebody enjoys another person's failure, I call that sickness, not success. What do you call it? Hello? I enjoy that you failed. This is sickness, this is not success, isn't it? Unfortunately, this is how you're going. This is the reason why human potential is not unleashed. Because if you're racing with a lame person, you're just happy you're one step ahead of him. Only when you meet Mr. Bolt, you understand who the hell you are. Yes? Till then, you think you are a great runner because the other person doesn't have legs.
Rule number 49, don't fear suffering.
You did this activity where to get us awake and energized, you had us close our eyes and you counted to 3, and then we had to yell, lose our inhibitions and let it all out. And that idea of kind of losing control and losing inhibitions, for me personally, has actually been a challenge. And I was hoping to get your perspective. I have never done drugs because I don't want to lose control. I fight roller coasters because I don't like losing control of the body.
Am I supposed to believe all this?
I'm excited for your perspective. I don't know why it came up, because last night I did my best, but it's always been a challenge or a struggle for me, and I'm just curious to get your perspective.
Nature has imposed substantial amount of restrictions on life. You can't just zoom off into the space. There is enough restrictions. You don't have to invent your own restrictions on top of it. So if you invent your own restrictions, slowly over a period of time, you become a constipated life. That means life won't happen easy. It happens in small happenings. So being in a state of abandon, not out of control, being in a state of abandon means all the stops that you have put on yourself, you pulled it off. Nature stops are still there for your safety and your well-being. But why are you imposing stops? There's enough. Gravity is holding you down, that's bad enough. Now you want to hold yourself down? Why? Because fear. What is the fear about? The fear is always about, if I do this, I may suffer. So that is the fundamental of my work, to bring you to a place where there's no fear of suffering.
And rule number 50, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is get drunk on life.
So what's the secret behind your success?
As a child, did you blow soap bubbles? Soap bubbles. So when you blew soap bubbles, have you seen somebody got this big bubble, you got only this big bubble?
We must hold our breath and leave it slow, then we'd get a big bubble. Everything has…
Everybody had air in the lungs, but somebody got a big bubble, somebody got a small bubble. What is this about? See, when it comes to body, this is my body, that is your body, 100% clear, no confusion about this, isn't it? This is my body, that is your body. This is my mind, that is your mind. But when it comes to life, there is no such thing as my life and your life. This is a living cosmos. How much life will you capture within your system will determine the size and scope of your life. Somebody got a big bubble, somebody else got a small bubble. Poop, it went off. You cannot identify where is my air and where is your air, isn't it? So similarly, when it comes to life, there is no such thing as my life and your life, but distinctly my body and your body, my mind and your mind,
but know my life and your life. There is life, abundant life. This is a living cosmos. How much life will you capture within yourself will determine the scope and range of your life. What one person can do in 100 years, somebody may do it in 10 years because of the sheer intensity of life. When I say intensity of life, it may translate in many different ways. See, there are times, for example, certain businesses have grown. Let us say, some business like, in United States this become a fad, within 3 years somebody is billions of dollars of worth of business. Let us say Microsoft has grown or Facebook has grown or something like this has grown. This is largely because of technological breakthroughs and somebody rides that technology. At another time, that would not have happened. So that is different. But if you want to create something really large, really significant, large or small is not the point, significance, then you need intensity of life. One thing is the scale of life that you capture. This is what I said earlier when I said yoga, obliterating in boundaries of your individuality means, in a way, you are allowing universe to invade you. When universe is not against you, but it invades you or it's a part of you, then you have abundance of life. When you have abundance of life, you will not hesitate to share. When you share big time your life with everybody else, people will naturally value it immensely because everybody is trying to hold it, somebody is willing to share it, so naturally there'll be a big upsurge around you. This will lead to many things. This will make many friends and many enemies. A lot of people whom you have never met, they are your sworn enemies, but you don't know why. You never met them, you never had a word with them, but they are swearing that I'm his enemy. I don't know why, but it goes on in the world. So when we talk about how so much can be done in a short span of time, it's not a short span of time, it's 37 years. Incessant work, 7 days of the week, 20 hours a day, almost for 25 years, more than 25 years. On an average, I slept only for 2.5 hours a day. Not deprived of sleep, just kept my life energy so intense that sleep was not even an issue. There are times when I've gone without sleep for 3 days, 4 days, full scale working, not because you're on some kind of a drug and not sleeping, simply because of the intensity of purpose and commitment to what you're doing. Today I can proudly say, I have created thousands of people around me, all of them have gotten crazy like that. They're all beginning to work like this. Most of them, you don't know when they will sleep, when they will wake up, on, 7 days of the week. No holidays, no vacations, but everybody is joyful. If you come to the yoga center and see, you will see the most joyful faces. But they've never been on a vacation. They don't own a damn thing. They don't have money in their pockets, but they're just joyful because drunk with life, literally.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Sadhguru on how to stop raising the bar of survival that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching the video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1, what are you gonna do today to get drunk on life? Number 2, what can you do every week to become more wise? And number 3, how can you make the best of a negative situation you're facing right now?
Let's say taking United States as an example, this is not going to be the problem of only United States. United States has come first in the race, okay. Others will get it,
because they're all going the same way. Right now, US is a stark example. One thing is, we go on raising the bar for survival. We must define, this is survival. This means you're good enough. After this, it must be exploration of what you really wish to do. But we keep on raising the bar of survival in such a way, now even after becoming the most affluent nation, a whole lot of people are just struggling for survival. This is senseless. And affluence means your survival is done thing, isn't it? But like you just mentioned, they're working 3 jobs to survive. This is not affluence, this is horrible poverty. At least in India we can sit back and enjoy. See, the way we have structured the society right now is, people have a 35-year house mortgage. I mean, if you have a 35-year economic commitment to something, tomorrow even if God popped up here, you can't change the direction of your life because the bank is here. What will you do? Because largely you're all from Christian community, so I'm saying, if Jesus popped up tomorrow and he says, "Come follow me," you're not going because… no, not busy, you got monthly payment. You got bills to pay, insurance to pay. You can't change. This is a silly way of organizing our lives. The very reason why we want to become affluent is so that depending upon what life offers us, we can change the direction of our life whenever we want, isn't it? Isn't it very important? This is one thing that has to sink into the American people. Being the most affluent nation means you are not battling for survival. This is happening because you're raising the bar of survival endlessly. No matter what you do, you're still only fighting for survival. If this one thing we change, then we can do a lot of things about health and well-being and beyond that.
If you want another amazing video highlighting excellence in the Indian community, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.